Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of.
G'day and welcome back to the channel Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. If you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. You're probably wondering, what am I doing here? Well, it's Friday here in Australia, so I'm looking at a franchise. So each Friday I'm looking at a franchise. This week is kicking off the Hellraiser franchise. This is one that I've wanted to look at in such a long time. I know it's going to be a bumpy road to say the least, and I'm sure I'm going to have some very interesting thoughts on the franchise as a whole, and I will be looking into each and every one of them. And of course, we're kicking it off with the original Hellraiser from 1987. But before I get into that, if you could, please do hit that thumbs up button, be much appreciated. If you haven't already, and if you're a new viewer, please do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I go through one of these Franchise Friday reviews. And for my existing subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. I know I say it every week, but truly it means the world to me. You guys have helped me get to over 700 subscribers now, so thank you so much. It is truly appreciated. Anyway, back to the review. Now, Hellraiser came out in 1987 and it was directed by none other than Clive Barker. The film stars Andrew Robinson, Claire Higgins, Sean Chapman, Ashley Lawrence, and of course, Doug Bradley. Now, the last time I saw him in the film, he's appeared in a few franchises. He's actually been in the last 3. He was in Wrong Turn 5 he was in. He was also in The Prophecy 4. So yeah, who knows where it'll pop up next. We've got him for the next, what was it, the 8, 9 movies? I can't remember. But anyway, this here is my Arrow edition. I've got the 3-disc box set. Obviously I've taken the ones out of here. But yeah, it's the 1, 2 and 3 here. And this is the Arrow Blu-ray edition here. I will pop it up on screen so you can get a better look at it. And the beauty of it is, it has the original artwork on the inside, which is what I like, because that original VHS cover artwork, love it. Anyway, let's go through some of the special features. It's a brand new 2K restoration, cool. There's audio commentary with Baker and Ashley Lawrence. Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser, brand new version of the definitive documentary on the making of Hellraiser, featuring interviews with key cast and crew members, being Frank. Sean Chapman on Hellraiser. Actor Sean Chapman talks candidly about playing the character of Frank Cotton in Barker's original. Some soundtrack stuff, yeah. Lots of interviews, a vintage featurette including interviews with Barker, Doug Bradley and Ashley Lawrence, special effects artist Bob Keane and others. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of special features on here, so yeah, I'll pop it up on the screen so you can pause, have a look through it. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. Anyway, I will discuss the plot because it's, yeah, if you haven't seen it, well, I'm going to be discussing spoilers in this, so go check it out. Came out in 87, you've had plenty of time. But the plot involves, well, the story kicks off with Frank Cotton, a man driven by a relentless pursuit of hedonistic pleasures, and he gets his hands on a mysterious puzzle box, which we know as the Lament Configuration, which, when solved, summons the Cenobites, sadomasochistic beings from another dimension led by the iconic Pinhead, played by Doug Bradley. Instead of the ultimate pleasure Frank sought, he finds himself torn apart by Cenobites' hooks and chains and dragged into their hellish dimension. After his apparent demise, his brother Larry Andrew Robinson and his wife, Julia, Claire Higgins, now move into the family home where Frank was last seen. Julie discovers Frank, who has been resurrected in a very desiccated, slimy form, and requires human sacrifices to regain his full strength. Now, as our heroine Christy uncovers this horrific truth, she becomes entangled with the Cenobites, leading to a climatic showdown. Well, I did say there would be spoilers, and there you have it. Now, this is the cinematic introduction of one of the greatest horror icons, Pinhead. And it is a mixed bag. It has moments of greatness, but it's also mixed with some very interesting choices made by the filmmakers. But look, if you're a fan of horror that doesn't rely on jump scares, but instead dives deep into the grotesque and twisted realms of dark fantasy, then Hellraiser is definitely worth your time. It's based on the novella The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. And this 1987 classic stands out in the horror genre for its unique blend of the macabre and the surreal. Okay, so getting into the cast. So we've got Claire Higgins, and she delivers a compelling portrayal of Julia. And she really captures her transformation from dissatisfied housewife to cold-blooded accomplice quite well. Andrew Robinson, who, I've seen him in other things, and he is always fantastic. He was like the bad guy in one of the first Dirty Harry films, I believe, and he just has this look about him like, yeah. But in this, it's a bit more mundane, and he's often serving as a foil to the more dynamic characters around him until the final act, and then, wow, that's when you see a change. Sean Chapman, who portrays the perpetually sweaty Frank, and Oliver Smith, who portrays the skinless Frank, provide suitably creepy and intense performances that underline the horror of the film's core. Ashley Lawrence. She plays Kirsty, and she's a strong and relatable protagonist. She has this journey from innocent teenager to a determined survivor with, she's thrown into a world of craziness, and she's walking around like in shock at what she's seen. But then when she comes across these creatures, these otherworldly creatures, the Cenobites, it's so well done, and it's so convincingly portrayed by Ashley Lawrence that you can't help but root for her as a survivor girl or final girl. And of course, we've got Doug Bradley's Pinhead. Look, he's given very limited screen time in this, and it still leaves an indelible mark. His calm, authoritative presence and eloquent speech set him apart from the typical horror antagonists. We're used to seeing, savagery in these creatures like these. You look at Freddy, for instance. He's usually a quip in later films, or he was, just ruthless and savage, but still sharp-tongued. Jason, Michael, Leatherface, very rarely do they utter words. They might grunt, that's about it. You very rarely had a horror character who would, at least to my knowledge, that would be able to, deliver sentences so eloquently. So yeah. And this just helped create a character that is both terrifying and intriguing. And it's this iconic and chilling performance where he delivers these lines with a very measured, very terrifying calmness that has made this character a staple of horror lore. Look, the only downside to the entire cast was, and this has always stood out to me, like I've always found this to be something that's taken me out of the movie, and that's the decision to dub some of the voices, particularly Sean Chapman's Frank. When you first see him and when you first see him speaking, he's standing in the rain talking to Julia, and this is in a flashback scene. And the voice that comes out of him just doesn't suit the look of the character. Like it's so out of place and very unconvincing, and it always takes me out of the film. I didn't realize why it was done until recently. And I still don't agree with it. I would rather see the original character doing the voice. Okay, so onto the directing and the writing. And look, Clive Barker's direction is both a strength and a weakness. His vision is clear and his ability to conjure a nightmarish atmosphere is evident throughout the film. The pacing, however, can be uneven. The build-up in the first act is rather slow, and that could test the patience of some viewers. Once the horror elements kick in and they come to the forefront, the film's pace quickens and becomes more engaging. But it's that initial sluggishness that detracts from the overall experience. You have that fantastic opening. Frank gets the box. He opens the box, and then, yeah, it's that pacing that's just a little bit off. But it does help to build the overall story, and the atmosphere is building up to something. You can feel it. So it's just that unevenness. I guess one thing that helped was Clive Barker being the writer of the source material, and this would have allowed him to really bring his vision to life. But again, we also had Maximum Overdrive. Stephen King wrote that. He also directed that. And I like Maximum Overdrive. But Stephen King doesn't, and we all know the reasons for that. But I feel like Clive Barker being the writer, it helped him really bring everything to the forefront of what he wanted on film. I could be wrong, but it feels like that would have helped him. You know, as a director, knowing what he wants to see on screen, that surely would have helped him, right? And now we're on to the special effects. And look, in Hellraiser, these are one of the most talked about features, and for good reason. The practical effects, particularly the makeup and gore, are executed with this gruesome artistry. The resurrection scene of Frank is in particularly noteworthy because they've combined stop motion animation and prosthetics to create a sequence that is both horrifying and mesmerizing. As he's coming up out of the ground, you can't help but watch as this creature is being sewn, I want to say sewn back together, but it's just being built back together piece by piece. Yeah, it's amazing. It looks great. And then this horrific howling, like this mewling sound that comes out of this creature. Whew. I say that in the effects because that is part of the sound effects as well. Now that's a good, but some of the special effects don't hold up. And they don't look as good as they used to. And that could be because, you know, it's a 2K transfer or whatever, it's, you know, high quality, but the hooks in the flesh, some of the visual effects in that and in the final act don't look the greatest. Look, the visual effects, and you will see them, I think you might have seen a bit there just before, but you'll see them. It's these visual effects where the Cenobite's being drawn back into the box. I get why they don't look as good. They've run out of money, and these effects are all hand-drawn by frame. So yeah, I totally get that. They just don't hold up. The design of the Cenobites is a huge factor in the effects, with their design being so innovative and grotesque. And it does contribute significantly to the film's unsettling atmosphere. You look at, I think it's Butterball, I think that's what he's called, the glasses, his eyes are sewn up, but he's just, you know, gross looking. You've got the female Cenobite with the throat ripped open. Of course, you've got Pinhead, like, yeah, simple but effective, you know. And The look is just, it's very impressive, and it creates a visceral, tangible sense of horror. As you all know, rewatchability is a big thing for me. And look, introducing a horror icon to the world is no easy task. And this one didn't just take a gentle step out of the dark. This film dives headfirst into the horror world with characters and effects that genuinely get you invested, even on repeat viewings. You want to see Julia get her comeuppance. You want to see Kirsty fight back against her wicked stepmother. But more importantly, you want to see Pinhead and his fellow Cenobites tear your soul apart. And you do want to see that time after time after time, because it's great to see. Okay, so final verdict. And look, Hellraiser stands out for its originality and its boldness, and it offers a different kind of horror experience. It delves into the psychological and physical terror. And while it's not without its flaws, particularly in pacing and that poor choice to dub the original actor's voice, its strengths in its concept, atmosphere, and its special effects make this a noteworthy entry into horror cinema. For a score, Hellraiser gets an 8 out of 10. And there you have it. That is my review of Hellraiser. Now, I know you've seen this film. Tell me, what did you think of it? Am I being too generous? Am I just right? Am I not being generous enough? Should this be a 10? Is this the best horror movie ever? Look, I honestly don't think it is. I think it's got its issues, but I still really do enjoy this one. It's, like I said, introducing this iconic character. This is a brilliant first movie. Brilliant. So anyway, that's it for Hellraiser. Next week we'll be looking at Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and then so on and so forth until we get to the end of this franchise. It's going to be a rocky road. Stick with it. I'm sure there'll be some moments of okayness in there. Surely. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. And if you've made it through this far and you've listened to me ramble on about this film, please do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell so that way you are notified every time I do release a new review. I've got my Franchise Fridays. It's Friday in Australia. That's why I'm doing them. We also have my Trashy Tuesdays. Now, they are on Tuesday in Australia, hence Trashy Tuesday. Now, I have been looking at a variety of different films. Currently going through the, what did I look at last time? Hellhole. That was an interesting choice. Next week, I've got one coming up, which is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking at going more into the Troma side of things. So I'll be looking at a few Troma films here and there. So yeah, they're also always fun because it's Troma, you know. Anyway, look, I'm going to cut it off now because I'm blathering on. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.